Hey listeners, CJ here. I just thought I'd take a moment before we start our penultimate show. Who would have thought almost a year running Push2Plat from humble beginnings one night on a Discord server chat. We have survived. We have grown. We have laughed. We've had so much fun. A large amount of that comes from you, the listeners, and the support you give us each week by just doing the simplest of tasks, listening to us. What a year it's been. Over a staggering 41 episodes, including 2 Halloween deep dives, I should say. We've had a total of 21 unique guests, some returning, some gracing us just for one episode so far. We've had countries covered, including Australia, guests across the UK, Poland, Finland, and across the whole of America. I've had the wonderful opportunity of working with themindisacity, and I'm sure you'll agree that each week Mindi brings a special knowledge, laughter, and passion to this show. Across the season, I've learned how to edit. Well, to a degree, I suppose you could say, listeners. We've fought internet struggles. We've experienced time zones I didn't even know existed. We've recorded in the AM, the PM, the early AM, the late PM. We've recorded every time possible to compensate for our guests around the globe. And look, I can't say how much it has been my privilege and honor to serve you, the listeners. To give you an idea of what's going to happen over the next few weeks, we'll have one more episode for this year. It's going to be a bit of a games wrap-up, so it could be kind of a long one. Following that episode, we will be taking a short break until mid-January. I've managed to secure a few, I suppose you could say, little vignettes from previous guests that will be joining me in the next week or so just to record some gaming thoughts of the year. So we'll sprinkle those in just in case you're getting a little bit of a need for some Push2Plat love. So listeners, from the bottom of my heart, I do wish you a wonderful Christmas break or whatever holiday you are observing. May you rest. May you spend quality time with family, friends, and loved ones. May you find time to finally play that game you've been putting off forever. Push2Plat. What a year. What fun. What laughs. Thank you so much, community. Have a wonderful break, and I look forward to reconnecting with you all in 2020.
It's time for Push2Plat, your weekly trophy podcast with Mindi and CJ.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 42 of Push2Plat. We're into December. In fact, it is December 13 today in Australia, late night December 12 in America, the night of the Game Awards. Mindi, are you excited? Are you dressed up? Are you licking up? Are you ready?
Sure.
You don't sound excited.
Nah, I'll Google the winners, and that's about it.
That's it. Okay. Well, look. Let's see if we can inject some enthusiasm, some excitement for our guest. It's almost like Death Stranding is going to win everything, Mindi. How would you know that? Like,
because I'm friggin' psychic.
Yes. Well, who knows? Look, a fantastic game, I am sure. But let's find some enthusiasm. Let's find some excitement, because it is quite exciting today, listeners. We have managed to find a convert. Now, there are many converts that go the other way from PlayStation to Xbox, obviously, but there's not too many that come from Xbox to PlayStation. But look, we've found one today. We've scoured the internet.
I would argue with your hypothesis, sir.
Really?
I think a lot of people went, when PS2 and 360 came out, I think a lot of PlayStation 1 owners went to 360. But when the PS4 came out, I think a lot of 360 owners went to PS4.
That could be. But I mean, the Game Pass is just sucking them back over. See, so
It kind of is. I'm actually kind of really mad at Sony that they're not doing something like
Look,
that.
I think we'll get into that today for sure. But look, before we go any further, can I introduce today's guest, Mr. CoolKidJoe? So he is, and I hope I'm correct here, he is a 1 million PSN people, gamer score holder, and now he's over on the PlayStation, just mucking around, just running up a lazy 100 over a couple of months, I think. So, Joe, thank you for joining us today. How are you, sir?
We're doing good.
Excellent. Now, I am correct, aren't I? You have 1 million gamer score?
Yeah, we're at, I think, 1,032,000.
Wow. Okay, that's... Seeing you're a new guest, would you like to tell our listeners just a little bit about your gaming history?
I kind of started off like slow or whatever. Like when I was a kid, I had a PlayStation, I had a Genesis. I didn't have very many games for it. And like when I turned like 15, 16, I got my first job, and I would just kept like, it was always a hobby that I love doing. And I just kept working and working and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. And like, I have like a huge collection now. Like it's pretty ridiculous. Like I actually have a complete 360 library, like physically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, across all regions.
Oh, so then you have Deadly Premonition on 360.
I do, and I actually have
Did
the
you play it?
I did not. I have the Japanese Red Seeds profile too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but like weird stuff like, I mean, like I have the Connect bocce game, and I have some like Connect like rhythm trilogy. There's like 3 of them, like Love Sweets, Love Chocolate, and Love Mint or something like that. Like anything that exists, I have it.
So you mean complete from all like you don't just mean complete,
Not just US.
like domestically.
No, like worldwide. I mean, like if it has a separate like if it has like a stackable achievement list, I have all versions of it. But like if it's just Crackdown or whatever, like I just have like the US version of Crackdown.
Mindi, I think it's finally happened. I think we found a bigger trophy whore than us here. Or achievement whore, I should say. Okay, so can I, like, what's a ballpark number for the number of games then, would you say, you have in this collection?
Like physically or digitally or both?
Oh, physically. You've got them spread over physical and digital, do you? The 360 library.
The 360 library is like the physical library is complete. If it has a disc, I have it.
Yeah. So how many rough games? Because 360 was a bit before I started gaming, so I was never in that 360. I was more sort of the PS3, I suppose. So how many games are we sort of talking here?
Like 1,500-ish, I would say.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. So 360. So then you went on to the Xbox One.
Well, actually, no. One more. How do you store it?
I actually found these shelves at like I bought 2 on Amazon, and then I found them at Best Buy. They're kind of flimsy, but they hold like 504 games each, like in DVD cases. They're not.
That's insane.
They're not the best, but they do the job.
That's insane because I have it's been pared down a lot over the years, but I had a really extensive collection, and I kept them in like huge, like you go to the Container Store and you buy things for like winter sweaters for storage.
Yeah.
Like I would put it in those because I couldn't find good shelves for them to display everything. I can't imagine shelving 1,500 games.
Yeah, I actually have I have 2 shelves like in the garage now or whatever, which I still need to build, but I'm like kind of running out of room.
Yeah, no kidding.
I also for a pretty good while I had the complete Xbox One library, but like once I hit like 1 million, I kind of stopped buying them.
That's fantastic.
Because you realized that PS4 was a superior system. And there we have segued into CJ's question.
No. Oh, no. Well, let's move to the Xbox One then. But just before we do, out of those 1,500 physical games, how many of those would you say you've actually played?
A pretty good amount.
Oh, okay. That wasn't the answer I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean,
But do you play them like CJ plays games, or do you play them like I play games? Like, do you play it for 5 minutes and call it played, or do you actually kind of go through and try to get everything?
It depends on what it is. I mean, like while I was going for like my million gamer score or whatever, like towards the beginning when like the selection was kind of like slim picking or whatever, like you just kind of had to play like what was out, and there was only like 1 or 2 games a week, not like 10 like there is now. Like now, like 10 games release a week, possibly more. And like so like you kind of had to play what was out as it was coming out, and like the grind to like a million or whatever like back then used to be really hard because you didn't have like a Ratalaika game coming out like every week, or like an ACA Neo Geo, or I think you guys call them Arcade Archives on PlayStation. Like we didn't have those like chugging out every week, so we had to play like what came out when it came out. So like I used to like grind through just garbage, and as like the one came out or whatever, like I would kind of play, I would play something if I didn't like it or whatever, but like if I couldn't tolerate it, I'd be like, oh nope, next one, next one.
Excellent. I think what we might do here, listeners, because we're gonna merge on the topic here, I can see, but that gives you a bit of an idea of who Joe is. He's a legitimate stand-up trophy whore, achievement whore, without a doubt, listeners. So he's in good company today. But let's hold off, if that's okay, Joe, with all that stuff, because that's the stuff we really do want to get into today. But we'll just do all the business we do at the start here, if that's okay first. Now having heard that, I think you're more than qualified to answer this question. And I know Mindi's pulled a couple off, but, listeners, we're at the stage now where it's all, game of the year. What should you play? What didn't you play? What's amazing? Blah, blah, blah. Why don't we look at the inverse side? What was the worst game you played this year? So it doesn't have to be from this year, but a game that you played this year that, ranks, I was going to say up there, but I suppose ranks down there as one of the worst. And Joe, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tracks. I played it on Xbox One. It actually stacks. It has a UK or Europe and a US version. It's called Scalextrix over there, and it's called Tracks here. It's like a little slot race car game. It was really easy. Like I believe it was only like an hour long to get like the 1,000 gamer score in, and I saw that it's coming to PlayStation 4 soon as well, but it doesn't have a platinum trophy, which is kind of lame. And it has a different trophy list than the achievement list, which it actually looks more difficult, and that was kind of upsetting. But yeah, it's just like you're on like one of those like little like crappy plastic tracks or whatever, and it's like a circle, or like it's just like you do like 2 or 3 laps, and you only hold down the right trigger to accelerate, and like you pull it up to like you like let loose on it to like kind of decelerate, and if you go too fast around a turn, you just like fly off the track, and that's it. You only use the right trigger to play the game.
How long was the list on Xbox? Was it like a grind, or was it at least a short experience?
Oh no, you just have to win like one of each race on each track, and that was it. And then like I was looking at the like the trophy list, and it's like win 20 multiplayer races, win a race on each track, unlock all cars, and
yes. Welcome to PlayStation trophies. many useless requirements. Yeah, that's good. Mindi.
Well, kind of gone through my log, and I pulled out a couple, and I think maybe they all came out this year. I'm gonna go. I played You Are King Drift, one of those like.
Is that Middle Eastern drift car game?
Yeah, which one? That's the thing. There's like 4 of them.
Wait, what?
Well, it's the same game 4 times, isn't it?
It kind of is, yeah. I think You Are King Drift is the one that actually came out in like America. I think the rest were on the European store. I could be wrong. It's been like I played this back in February, so. But you get 100% in about 5 minutes, literally, because there's 4 trophies, and it just requires you to drive to the 4 hub areas, and even then, it doesn't control very well.
No, that's right.
So it was, those 5 minutes were, not fun.
I have a question about that actually. So like when like this week or whatever, I've been doing like a little bit of research on like games with like easy trophies, and I think I came across that one. Is that one that's like $18 for no reason?
It's like expensive for no good reason.
Okay.
But most of the driving ones are, I think. Like for what you get, they cost way too much.
That's also the game. I don't know which of the 4 it is. It's possibly all 4 that is highly susceptible to glitching. And one of the trophies, I think one of the series, it's perhaps this one you played, Mindi, where you start in the garage and you have to get in the car. I'm not sure if this.
And that takes ages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I read a story where someone couldn't get in the car, so they just decided they gave up and they ran the whole way. So it took like an hour and a half to do a 10-minute game because they couldn't get in the car. Isn't that fantastic? But yeah, it's a full priced racing sim. I don't know. That's good. Anything else or you?
I gotta give shout out to Where the Bees Make Honey.
Yes, if you didn't, I would have. Yeah. What particular part of that wonderful experience would you rate in the weakest category of the year?
Now here's the thing: is that I've thought about this game since Velvet came on the first time, and she said something that makes me view this in a bit more of a positive light. Is that this isn't a game. It really is just kind of a portfolio of what this dude can do, programming wise. And granted, some of it worked. Like, I like the idea, the main conceit of the rotating the stages to get the little honeycomb bits, like the actual puzzly bits. I like the idea of that. I wish the game was just that, to varying degrees of difficulty. I think when he added all the other stuff, it just got really lost and confused, and it kind of makes me wonder if the whole story of nostalgia came in last, where he was like, I have all of these things that I've programmed. How do I tie this together?
It kind of strikes me a bit like, I don't know, like say you're a writer or, you're writing a song or something, and there's so many ideas there that they could have been turned into like 10 different games, but, and drawn out instead of like just packing all these ideas into, it was like an hour and a half, wasn't it? It was in that ballpark anyway.
Yeah, and it's not long, and thank God it's not long. Can you imagine 5 hours of that?
No, of course. But it's almost like there's just too much going on in a short space of time. But maybe that's because now we've become more used to, some of these shorter, spammy type plats or whatever, where they're just sort of one concept or whatever for 30 or 40 minutes. But I think that's fine. But I just think, as you say, like he was obviously showing what he could do, but there was a lot going on there. some more inexcusable than other things. Look, I'm going to throw out something different. I'm going to throw out this Neon Junctions. I don't know, Joe, if you've come across this yet. If not, I'm sure you will. Mindi, I think you probably have come across it at one stage. So it's a puzzle art game across all the, published by Rat, across all the stacks, all the platforms. I don't really have a problem with the puzzler per se, but I find these like their first person view or whatever, Mindi, they make me like, I don't know, staring at them in the screen, it makes me feel uncomfortable, almost like a little motion sick, I think, which I know is a me problem or whatever. But I had the same problem with Suicide Guy as well. So that has to be the worst for me, just because it takes me so long to plat it, because I can only play like 10 minutes or something. And I don't know what it is, because I don't have a problem with first-person games. Maybe it's just I don't know. I don't want to say screen dropping, because it doesn't happen, but maybe because it's not as polished, I notice it more. There's a bit more, I don't know, like a little bit more hang perhaps when you turn and stuff in the graphics. But look, I know that's a me problem. And then only because you haven't played it, the re-release, Mindi. I know you played the original, but I'm going to pop it out there. Another me problem, nothing wrong with the game, would have to be this Disney classic art collection that came out recently, and the Lion King game. So you have played the original here, haven't you, Mindi?
On Super Nintendo, yeah.
Yes, and so my problem with that is just how difficult it is. It's even with the I don't know if you know this game, Joe. There's a great way to manipulate it.
You can cheese it.
With cheesing it, that's right. But trying to do that last sort of section without cheesing it, it's very difficult. I don't know if you've played it or not. So very frustrating.
You mean the Pride Rock battle?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still sort of have to do it.
Yeah, games back in the 90s were relentless.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're only like 30 minutes long each or whatever, but I mean, they had to make them last long so you got your money's worth.
Well, I tell you what, that battle would have lasted me more than 30 minutes. So I definitely got my money's worth. But yeah, so I don't know, listeners, what's your worst game? To be honest with you, I don't think this year's been too bad. I remember in the last few years, I've had games on the system that refused to run, or basically almost made the PlayStation leave the desk. It was running so hot, and other things, even games that have been pulled from the store. But I don't think overall this year has been too bad. Now you can correct me with all the examples that you have. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see. So look, why don't we move across then to what we've been playing this week? And why don't we start with you, Joe? I'm very interested to see what you actually play. Would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I've been kind of suffering my way through Telltale games again.
Are they the kind that you have to play, or are you letting them play themselves?
I did Walking Dead season 1 and season 2 this week.
Oh, so you're actually playing them.
Yeah. And I did now I'm doing Life is Strange again.
Oh, the original one.
Yeah, the original one. And then like I do like an episode a day. I kind of took today off or whatever when I got home because I was kind of tired. Like I do about an episode to maybe an episode and a half a day of those, and then I'll play something else or whatever that's like will get me like an actual like a dirty platinum, I guess. Like Stretch.
Yes, the reaction tester Stretch. Oh, you did that in 29 minutes. Oh, so listeners, we not only have a spam gamer with us, we have a skilled spam gamer. I see how this is going to be. That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but like I also bought it on the Xbox, which also kind of scummy. $1 on PlayStation, $5 on Xbox.
Oh, wow. That is...
Yeah.
It's dreadful.
Yeah. It seems harder. Like on the Xbox One, I don't know if it's just me or if I've just gotten used to like the X or cross, circle, square, triangle or whatever, if I've just gotten used to that over the last couple weeks, but like I was having kind of some trouble on like the Xbox One version the other day when I was playing it.
Look, why don't we just take a sidebar here, listeners, because it's gonna mold into the topic. So I have a question here for you, Joe. Now, if you've got a million plus gamer score, you've spent a lot of time on the Xbox, you'd be very familiar with the controller. You've basically absorbed it into your body now. It's just a natural thing for you. So now you've been playing on PlayStation for like a few months. That's fair to say, a good few months. Yeah. How do you like? Did you find that initial process of coming across a bit awkward? Because the controller is quite different from the Xbox. Did it impair your skills at all or not?
No, I think like I used to love the 360 controller. Like I thought it was a great controller, and then I got an Xbox One and I can't use the 360 controller anymore. Like it is just garbage to me. Like I do not like it anymore. And I kind of dabbled in like trophy hunting like a little bit on the PS3, but like I do not like that controller at all. I have never liked like the PlayStation controller. When I had a PS2, I had one of those wireless Logitech ones because like I felt like it was more comfortable in my hands. I've never liked the DualShock, but I like the DualShock 4 a lot better now. Like it feels comfortable in my hands and it doesn't feel too small, and it's like the transition from like Xbox One to PS4, like it was very smooth because like the controllers are very similar minus like the sticks. But like when I would move from like a 360 to like a PS3, I'd be like, no, okay. Like at all.
Interesting. Okay, we might come back to that. Now, I can see here you played Warlock's Tower.
Yes.
Did you enjoy that? Up, down, left, right, up.
I yesterday when I was talking to you or whatever, I was like trying to pay attention to our conversation and do that at the same time. So I kept like, so I'm trying to multitask while doing that. And I'm just like, where am I?
It's a tough one. It's a tough, obnoxious one. Yeah. And Mindi, you would like this. Day of the Tentacle started.
Yes, started.
I started it yesterday.
Started. Not finished. Started.
That's a Double Fine game too, so I'm kind of hoping since like Xbox acquired that studio that like that and like Grim Fandango and Full Throttle, I hope those like come over to Game Pass too, because I don't see like a reason for them not to be.
Yeah. Isn't his current one that he's releasing next year, that's going to be on both, but then after that going forward, they're all going to just be, Xbox console exclusive, whatever that means, going forward. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
I mean, increasingly exclusive just means 6 months.
Yeah.
Ecosystem exclusive.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not on Xbox end, is it? But that's causing that. I don't think. I think that's more on the other side.
Oh
at the
no,
moment.
the Psychonauts, or I think it's so like when they acquire a studio, if they have like pre-existing deals in place, like with the Outer Worlds or whatever, which is a deal with I know it's the new 2K or Take-Two studio. I just don't remember what it's called. Like if they have a pre-existing deal in place, like with that, or like with Psychonauts or Rad, I think Rad came out like right that when that deal got announced. If they have a pre-existing deal, they don't just cut out the PlayStation. They honor their pre-existing deals. And then like once all those are acknowledged or whatever, then going forward everything is going to be exclusive to like the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to go back a little bit. I want to ask you because one of the great things about PlayStation is its console exclusives, which are really exclusive at this stage. And I see you started Marvel's Spider-Man. This has been a big draw card for the PS4 in the last year. What do you think?
Oh, I love that game. Yeah, I'm just playing it like little by little. After I suffer through some garbage or whatever, I reward myself with a little bit of Spider-Man.
Excellent. I'm just taking notes here. There's many issues we can touch on in the topic today. This is fantastic. Well, look, it looks like you've been very, very busy there. Now, Mindi, shall we jump over to you?
I didn't do my Liar Princess check. Has he done Liar Princess?
I don't think he knows about that yet.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. Check that one out.
Okay. What is it?
It's kind of a dark fantasy puzzle with a little bit of platformer.
Okay.
I don't know if it came out on Xbox. Did it come out on Xbox?
No, NIS or NIS America published it, and
they tend to be PlayStation, right?
They don't make anything for Xbox. Like
I thought they put out some 360 RPGs. Was that not them?
I'm looking at their games right now. I mean, they did the Silver Case games. They did like one of the Persona things. I think we got that.
Who was it who put out JRPGs on the 3? Because there weren't a ton, but there were some.
I think it was Atlas.
Was it Atlas? Oh, maybe it was Atlas. Like Blue Dragon and stuff. Was that Atlas?
Yeah, I'm looking through this list, and a lot of these games I've never heard of. Psychopass is on the Xbox One, but only in Japan. A lot of these games I've also never heard of. Like, I've heard of Disgaea, because I remember it on the PS2.
That's a tactical JRPG. Tactical. Yeah, because you're on the grid. Tactical JRPG series. One that I have unfinished on my Vita that I started, I think, in 2013, 14. When did the Vita come out? Because that's when I started it.
Still looking at getting one again.
You should, and then you should ask me what games to buy for it. Well, now wait a minute. You have some Vita games on your card. You've got Touch My Katamari on there.
Yeah, no. Well, I had one and I sold it. Like one of my buddies was like making the transition from like Xbox to PlayStation or whatever, and now he does a little bit of both, and he has a YouTube channel. And he does like walkthroughs and unboxings for collector's editions and stuff. I sold him my Vita like back in the day because like I don't
understand the words you just said to me.
Yeah, I know.
Don't understand the words you just said.
Yeah, so I had one, I sold it, and then now I'm looking at getting another one.
You should. Especially because they're gonna, I don't think they will go lower in price simply because they don't get made anymore. So if they don't just stay level, they'll go up in price over the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it's getting. You're right, Mindi. It's definitely getting harder and harder. So good luck with that. Why don't we shuffle across, Mindi, to what you've been playing this week?
CJ's so desperate to get this back on track.
We've drifted. I was worried that I was going to be the one all over the page today, listeners. But so look, why don't we start with Puss in Boots, Mindi? Yeah,
it's been kind of a PS3 week.
I can tell.
Yeah, it really has. And this is because of the True Trophy's 12 Challenges of Christmas event. And also the PlayStationTrophies.org Decade event, which I think I talked about last time.
You did. Well, you haven't really talked about the True Trophies one, though. So where are you up to in that? What day are you on? What's going on?
I'm on day 10.
You're beating me.
So I'm pretty current on that. I was until yesterday, and then I got a day behind. But I'm Unless day 12 is something absolutely awful. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it, which is good.
For the listeners that aren't familiar with that competition or event, could you just explain briefly?
Well, this is this is my first year doing it. Have you done it before?
Yeah, I have done it before. Yeah. So, I mean, I can do it if you like. So, listeners, basically, it's run over a 12-day event, and then we get a couple of weeks after it. Is it till the end of the year, Mindi, or it's about that?
It's until the end of December.
Yeah, and so each day they reveal a new challenge. So obviously, the first day of Christmas is one challenge or one trophy required, moving up to 12 by the end. They do have, Mindi, some fantastic tracking software. I think you would agree, where it sort of it registers straight away. When you update your profile, whether you've met the requirements, and it also provides a list of all the trophies you could get in them, but also a list of trophies specific to your profile, which is what I sort of like, Mindi, because it gives you.
Their tracking software is fantastic,
Yes.
and if their subscription was not annual, I would subscribe to them.
Yeah, I mean that is an issue, because I think I looked at it myself after we talked about it, and it is like 20 US, I think, for the year or something, or 25, isn't it?
It's 25 per year.
It's quite pricey, but I mean, even as as not subscribing, it's a good deal, because you can still refresh your profile. I think 3 times a week, and they don't ban you from entering any of these events, or they don't lock them away behind the subscription model. So like that in itself is really good. But Mindi, one of the things now that we've detracted to this year is much harder than last year.
And that's mostly why I wanted you to talk about this, is because until about day 9, maybe day 10, I wasn't struggling, or I wasn't like, ugh, I don't want to play this, but I have it, so I'll do it. I wasn't struggling to find stuff to fill these challenges.
Yeah, well, it's funny, because last year was really simple. Like, I don't even remember really needing to look up certain games. Like, it was all pretty natural or whatever. But this year, I mean, right from the offset, listeners, the first challenge they put was a cumulative 20 hours or more trophy that had to be sort of a standalone trophy. So it couldn't be like, necessarily a collectible trophy if you were getting trophies along the way for it. It had to be sort of 20 hours or more just in that. So some of the trophies they'd listed were like, Elder Scrolls Online, the fishing challenge, or the Levy Quest challenge of Final Fantasy XIV, which by nature takes 6 months because of the way that trophy works. So there were some pretty insane requirements to do in one day or whatever. So they did pare that back and made it much more manageable there. But it's been creeping up again, hasn't it, Mindi? I mean, we've got this 9 where I'm stuck at, this 9 shopping trophy, and then we've got 10 open world, and then I can't remember what 11 was, but difficulty related trophies. That's right. So we're both screwed there. But yeah, that gives you an idea. But
Actually, I found something that I wanted to play anyway, so I'm just bumping it up on my backlog, and I'm sure I'll be talking about it next time we record a podcast. So I'll keep that a surprise.
Excellent. I might have to inquire later in case I need that to get through. So, Joe, in the roundabout way, I want to ask you: do you use True Trophies? Because I know there are True Achievements, and I know they have similar events. And from what I understand, the events have always been tougher on that side. Are you familiar with these events?
I am a pro subscriber on True Achievements. I'm not on True Trophies because I'm not gonna spend $50 a year on 2 memberships. Like, I feel like True Trophies is like that abandoned stepchild that nobody loves.
Yeah, I hear this a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, the site and everything that they have going on or whatever, it's really great, but I think it took them too long to get it off the ground running while other sites kind of established themselves. Like, PSN Profiles is pretty good, but there are some things about the site that I don't like. Just the organization, and when you have to search for a game, it seems kind of annoying. Well, if I'm looking for a game on True Achievements or True Trophies, I just type it in the search bar, and then a whole list of things that it could possibly be or that I might be looking for pops down. And then if I'm looking for something on PSN Profiles, it seems like it's a good site, but it seems a little unorganized at times. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, I mean, having seen both of them, I think PSN Profiles is more of a social site, I suppose, with the forums and people interacting. And I know some of that happens on True Trophies, but I think, True Trophies is more maybe about the analysis, the stats and stuff.
I think PlayStation Trophies and PSNP are more about at least now, I think they're more about the forums, and True Trophies is more about the stat. I think you're absolutely right. Is more about the stats and the pure data of
Yeah,
it.
I think so. And I mean, the thing is, listeners, that the same people are on all the sites as well. So it's not like you're divvied off onto one or the other.
So the decade challenge was, platinum or 100%, one game from each year in the past decade. So obviously you've got this 2 or 3 year stretch where you're like, you have to do something on either the PS3 or the Vita, right? So I got in touch with a friend of mine and I said, I need PS3 games. Like, I don't have these easy, and even the PS3 games I do have, I didn't have any for like 20, like a certain year. And so he was like, I got you. What do you need? So I got like Puss in Boots. I got Megamind, like all of these like licensed kids games that were the easy peasies of the day that I never played. He sent me like 4 or 5 of them. The one I started was Puss in Boots. And I think that was because it correlated nicely with whatever day challenge I was working on True Trophies. But it's not actually that bad. Like, I'm not gonna call this a good game, but it's not bad, especially for a licensed movie tie-in game. Like, they tried with this. Yeah, it's on rails, which is automatically a 2 strike. But, they've varied up the stages. It's not just 9 stages of the same thing. Half of them are kind of go through with sword combat, which is stupid easy, and then half of it is more mini game or kind of platforming based. They tried, so I gotta give them props for that. It's not nearly as kind of cynical as it could have been.
THQ did that. THQ was pretty good at doing their like their movie games and stuff like that.
And that was publishing. Like, looks like this developer is called Blitz Interactive, and the only other thing they seem to have done was Karaoke Revolution.
They have a whole bunch of games on Xbox.
Do they? I'm just looking at like PlayStation. So what did they do on Xbox then?
Fantastic Pets. They did the Burger King games.
Oh, the Sneak King?
Sneak King, Big Bumpin', and Pocket Bike Racer. They did a couple Kinect games. They did 2 SpongeBob games. Michael Phelps Push the Limit.
So not all good games, but like this one,
Oh, come on. How can you let that go? Did you say Michael Phelps Push the Limit? Is that a game?
Yeah,
That's
it's a
fantastic.
Kinect game.
Oh
It-
yeah, honey, when I worked at GameStop, do you know how many copies of that game we had?
One.
Oh, I assume this is before he was disgraced and then came back as a.
Oh, because he one time he smoked the marijuanas.
I know. I thought that was a travesty, wasn't it, for America at the time? National hero, but
No, that game
that's
is
great. Sorry,
that game is really hard. I've played that, and that game is not easy to like get to work.
So, Mindi, I want to come back to this Puss in Boots for a moment, because I think this is one of the best of the PS3 movie sort of tie-in games. And I want to direct your attention back to the fantastic QTE Tango scene. Did you enjoy that?
I did it my first try and never gave it another thought. Why? What did I miss?
I thought that was a fantastic. Oh, well, no, obviously nothing by the sound of it. 2 minutes of your time, but no, I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed this game. I think it's good. Yeah, I mean it's cheesy for what it is, of course, but it's no Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That's for sure. It has some substance to it, I think. Oh god. Oh, it's going downhill rapidly. Now, shall we move on, Mindy, to the next
I
game?
started. You're gonna get away from the PS4. I started Cat Quest. That thing I've been talking about for a while. I finally started it.
What do you think?
It's cute. Needs more puns. Filled with cat puns, still needs more.
Yeah. Refresh my memory here. I didn't really play the first one, so I'm only playing the second one. Do you have the 2 characters in the first one as well? Can you interchange between them, or are you're just the one character?
No, it's just one.
Okay, I think other than that, though, it's the same premise. Everything else is roughly the same.
It looks from what I've seen of Cat Quest 2, it looks very similar. And even the trophy list is like copy paste, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
It's very natural progression, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So with the trophy list, so
It really is. Yeah. And it's very, it's very, very straightforward. It's an absolute joke if you get the ultimate armor, if you sequence break the game and get the ultimate armor way earlier than you're supposed to.
oh,
I think any trophy guide would advise you to do because it just involves dodging and not,
hmm
killing a bunch of things to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I could have platinumed this days ago, but I'm holding I think the trophies I have left are like collectible and end game trophies, so I'm kind of waiting on what that true trophies with the last couple of days of that challenge is.
yeah, but you'd recommend that one. You're enjoying it.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's cute. It's it has a couple of difficulty spikes, but again, if you get the ultimate armor early, you got nothing to worry about. And it's cute. I recommend it. It needs more puns. Are there more puns in the sequel?
But there's plenty, but obviously there's no. I would have assumed it would be roughly the same, but obviously you want even more. So
I love puns.
yeah. Well, you won't be disappointed.
True Fear Forsaken Souls Part 2, the trophy list has finally synced.
Yes, I saw this.
Like 2 weeks after the game came out, and I am the 4th person to earn the platinum on that. That is so disheartening.
Oh yes, the Turnip Lord got you. Well, yeah, it's very hard to beat the Turnip Lord. He's everywhere. That guy everywhere. So it's not too bad though. You still have the fastest time. Obviously, they didn't have your guide, so
Yeah, but now the guide's up, so that is open to being beaten. But that's true. By at least 24 hours, I have the fastest achievement time.
yes, you're quite safe there. Now, there's a stack of this game I saw too, NA and EU.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. The first one had 2 stacks as well, NA and EU.
Perfect. Okay, and Lego The Hobbit. Now, I'm going to ask you a question here. I was under the assumption that you'd played all the Lego games except for the infamous Lego Rock Band, but this and the Lego Worlds.
Which is not a Lego game.
Well, that's debatable.
Not a Lego game. Hey, Joe, is Lego Rock Band a Lego game or is it a Rock Band game?
Rock Band.
Boom! Not a Lego game. CJ, don't make.
Sorry, Joe, you just dropped out there. We'll edit that section, but unfortunately, listeners, we lost the audio there for
CJ,
Joe.
do
so
not
we
make
will have
me,
to move on, but he was in
do
the
not
affirmative.
make me make this a weekly question because God help me, I will.
Ooh.
Oh, speaking of, hey Joe, I got 3 questions.
Yes.
I got 3 questions for you. 1, what are your feelings on Mega Man?
Hard.
Okay. 2, what are your feelings on Metroidvanias?
I am a big fan of some of them. I actually really like Indivisible. I don't know if you've played that or not.
No, but this is like all joking aside. This is your chance to ask your confusion question because there's a good chance Joe might know.
So, listeners, this may be the first time anyone in the world has managed to link through The Hobbit to Lego Rock Band onto Mega Man. But look, Mindi has managed to do it in a feat that, look, doesn't impress anyone, I suppose. But it has left the door open for us to finally get some clarification. This has been kicking around for a while, and it's time that we address this, Joe, with an Xbox gamer. I'm sure you're familiar with Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yes.
Is this a Metroidvania?
I would say so.
I was expecting a more profound answer. Why would you say so?
So who was it? Was it Corn Shack or it was Maka? Maka who came on and I asked him about Metroidvanias and he said he loved Ori and the Blind Forest, was like one of the best Metroidvanias he'd ever played. And it caused like an existential crisis in CJ. It just, everything he thought he knew about Metroidvania is just out the window. And so I said, when we get a Metroidvania guy on, he kept saying, when we get a Metroidvania guy on, I'm going to ask, that's the first thing I'm going to ask him is Ori and the Blind Forest Metroidvania? And you, as a mostly Xbox gamer, have been asked the question first. Mostly because I couldn't find a good Metroidvania guy for a while.
So, what's it called? I actually had this discussion with my buddy Jason a couple weeks ago because we were talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's a Metroidvania game," and I'm like, "No." And he's like, "So what would you call it?" I'm like, "Open world action adventure." And he's like, "Oh well, it's a Metroidvania game." I'm like, "No, man, like a Metroidvania." And like I looked up the actual definition. It's a single interconnected world that's like 2.5D or 2D, like where like as you progress through the game, you unlock new abilities to open up new areas to other like places like where you couldn't go back to.
I kind of wish I'd mentioned that last, because that would have been a perfect segue into a game I know you played this week, CJ. But getting back to Lego Hobbit, I have played Lego game except for Lego Worlds, but I haven't played all the stacks. And doing Lego Hobbit again for the site events has kind of reignited this really bizarre challenge I have to platinum every single stack of every single Lego game, which I had planned on doing until Lego DC Villains got like 5 stacks. But now I kind of want to do, but I probably won't. But I could. Like, I imported Lego Indiana Jones 2 from England just to get that stack. I have questionable life decisions. What else would you like to know about Lego Hobbit?
No, well, I just thought you had done it all. So now, well, I would like to know, because I remember from the quiz, this was one they signified was not one of the greatest of the Lego games. Now, I have not played this one myself. How does it stack up? And I know you're going to say, well, it depends on how much you like the property it's based on. But that aside, how does it hold up?
Well, I mean, that is true. I think the people who say it's not as good tend to be talking about the glitches, the Traveler's Tale games. I don't know if it's dependent on what part of the studio was working on or what. Sometimes they were very glitchy, trophy and stats wise. Lego Hobbit in particular, I think, was the first one, and I think the only one so far, to introduce like a day-night cycle. And so some quests, like side quests, were only available during the day, and some were only available during the night, which is different. 80 to 90% of the game mechanics are the same as, any bog standard Lego game, Traveler's Tales Lego game. I will say the tracking was a bit annoying. The stud trails did not sometimes lead you where you wanted to go if you had to change like environment levels. Like if you had to go up a mountain or something, it would just kind of dead end you and be like, okay, I guess this is where you need to be. I was very paranoid about backing up my save. Like at the end of every story level, I made sure all of the the bricks I needed to unlocked. And then when I finish, and it is standard with me for every Lego game, is I make a hard save backup after I beat the campaign. So if something happens, at least I don't have to do the campaign again. Anyone who's played more than one Lego game will tell you, especially in the Lego games that have 100% completion trophies, which most of them do, you always back up your save before doing the final thing. Whether it's buying, the final character or getting the final collectible item, mini kit, or getting that last percentage point to get 100%. You always back up your save. Also, and never ever use the cheat codes. Those are the 2 rules of Lego games. Never ever use the cheat codes, because they more often than not will screw up your game somehow. And always back up your save.
Yeah, that's not always the case, though. Wasn't it Lego Movie 2 you could? I think there was one recently that you could use some of the codes. I forget. Maybe check that, listeners, before you attempt.
Well,
that.
they historically, I think starting with The Incredibles, I could not find a single complaint of, well, I used the cheat code to unlock red bricks early, and now I can't get the platinum, and I have to do it all over. But you look at the history of how many Telltale, I keep saying Telltale, Traveler's Tales games it did screw up. Just don't do it, man. Just
Wasn't it great? See, these events, they bring out these games in us. You're playing a lot this week. That's fantastic, Mindi. So, look, listeners, let's go briefly across to what I've been dabbling in. I'm at the cusp of jumping into something long, probably Final Fantasy 12, but I haven't fallen into it yet. So, you have to do that. You have to finish that in January, right? Yeah. No, I've started it. I've put a good few hours in it, and the hook is definitely there. So I'm looking forward to it. And as I said, a few weeks ago, one of the things I really like about it, playing these games in reverse, and having played Final Fantasy 14 first, I can actually see like some of the modeling where it came from, particularly for the opening sort of major town. Like it's very very much based off Final Fantasy 12 there in that section. So it's sort of nice to see sort of where they're going, or moving forward, but I'm going backwards, so that's it's a strange thing, but it's cool. And look, to be honest, I do like the gambit system. I didn't think I would. The fighting system, I thought that could be a big deterrent for me, but I don't mind it. So no, I'm looking forward to putting some good time into that, because I have a feeling that's a game that once you put 10 hours in, you'll just get sucked right in, which is great. So it's just getting that initial step in, which will hopefully happen in the next week or so. Well, it's going to need to happen, Mindi, because it's about 100 hours, so it's going to need to, I think. But look,
What happens? I don't know if we went over this. What happens if you don't fulfill this bet that you have made?
well, I don't know. We might have to ask the Scottish noob that, because I think he just assumed that we would both do it. So I don't know. Well, let's err on the side of positivity and assume that we both do. But look, listeners, I will throw this out to you. Now, this is interesting, Mindi. This is a PS Plus game for this month. I know you would have no interest in this at all. It is the Monster Energy Supercross game. So it is available free at the moment, listeners. Now, I played this game, well, it says about 1 year and 9 months ago, so it must have been a round release or whatever else. And I quite enjoy it. I like these games, but it was very difficult at the time. Most of these games, they're pretty easy.
That's what I'm hearing, is that it's surprisingly difficult for what it is.
Yeah, so if you've played the MX series, like there can be one or two difficult trophies maybe related to online. A couple of them, including the MX Pro, had this online trophy where you had to beat, a leaderboard of the top 100 times. So that became very difficult over time. But other than that, most of these games are all fairly easy. Sometimes there's a few challenges that can be tougher. But the AI in this one was set much harder than normal. Even at there are no real easy settings, I suppose. But even if you have all the aids on, it's still really can be quite difficult. I mean, it's not, once you get into the flow of it, it's fine. But it is a if you haven't played these games before, I think it would be quite a shock. But the reason I went back to it, listeners, is because I'd done like half of it anyway, and then I just had enough of it, because it is a big grind to get the miles and a big grind to get the leveling and the money. But someone, Mindi, had discovered this fantastic glitch where you could basically, you ramp up all the difficulty and everything after you've won the main events or whatever, when you're going just now for leveling up and stuff. You rank up all this stuff, and then you enter the race and you just quit at the very start, and it will put you in first or second. And you can do that for the whole season of like 18 events. So, normally that would take maybe 3 or 4 hours if you played it legit. And now you can probably do it in 15 minutes, and you just get massive amounts of XP and money. So it makes those trophies really easy. It makes the competing in, 30 events or 50 events really easy. So basically the plat goes down from maybe like a 30-hour plat, a 20 or 30-hour plat, to maybe like actually, if you want to AFK, do this glitch the whole way, maybe 2 hours. Then there is a distance grind, listeners, which is a little bit monotonous. So you're probably looking at about 6 or 7 hours, but you can rubber band your controller. There are some of the online tracks work better than others. Tried a few different ones. I ended up settling on one where I could actually just leave it rubber banded the whole time and it never crashed out, or if it crashed out, it reset. So all up, it's probably like an 8-hour plat now with that glitch, of which only 2 hours requires work. So it is much more manageable if you don't want to play the game. So it was great for me, because I could go back and finish it that way off. So that was great. And then the only other driving game I played this week, Mindi, I fell back into it, was the Driving Essentials, the driving lesson game, I suppose, if you like. And that's, I don't know, that sort of spam, we haven't mentioned that for ages, listeners, but I know it's getting a bit of popularity again now. It's moving around the system or whatever. It is a very easy sort of 2 to 3 hour game. It's way overpriced on the store compared to Xbox. I don't know if you came across this game at all, Joe, Driving Essentials, but very straightforward, just 10 driving lessons and then driving the car 3 miles in various conditions. So that's my racing done for this week, Mindi. And then should we talk about the German horse game?
I know you're playing the German horse game. What I want to hear about more,
yes,
is Oliver's Adventures in the Fairyland.
Yes. Well, look, it's a Metroidvania, apparently. What isn't these days? Look, it's like,
from what I understand, it has Metroidvania elements, but I wouldn't call it a Metroidvania.
No, well, no, it's a very liberal term, Metroidvania. It has Metroidvania elements, yes. That sounds better. Look, it's fine or whatever else. So it's not a rat game. I'll put that out there first. So it's a little bit more expensive than the rat ports, but not not much so or whatever. It also refreshingly only has one stack at this point, Minty. So I don't know if there is more coming or not. Yeah, and not for Vita, just for PS4. This one. So the only reason I really did this one, Mindy, and look, it's a shocking, it's a disgraceful, I suppose you could say, is that it does have a God mode cheat that you can enable at the start, which means you cannot die. At all, which makes this game very, very simple. Just a matter of going around and getting the collectibles. If you didn't use that God mode cheat, it would actually be kind of a challenging game, I feel, to do legit. So, keep that in mind. With the God mode cheat, you're probably looking at about a 40-minute plat or so. If you know where the collectibles.
So spam.
Yeah, definitely. If you know where collectibles are, you play it through. If you can't find all the collectibles and you don't want to use a guide, when you beat the final boss, all the collectibles are marked on the map, so you're not going to miss anything either way. So look, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. So that's what I've been playing this week. Let's leave the German horse game, Mindy, until I finished it, I think, because
we want to do a deep dive on it.
We do, and it's not every day you get the privilege to speak to a master of the genre, So I'm going to hold that. Only thing I'm going to say is it is a lot better than I expected. So I'm quite enjoying it, but we'll leave that. We'll leave that there. Okay, so listeners, what we might do is we'll move towards the topic, but just before we do, we'll quickly touch on some new releases. It is finally starting to slow down, but we've still got two big ones next week. Now, Watam, I'm going to go with that, Mindy. Hopefully that's right. Watam by Phenomena. So we were talking about them Phenomena. I did it again. Phenomena, sorry. We were talking about them last week with Luna. Their interesting goof around simulator is coming. I know some people are anticipating. And then, of course, the lovely Untitled Goose Game is making its way across from the Switch to the beloved PlayStation and also the Xbox via Game Pass. And look, I would strongly recommend you have a little look at that. A stealth puzzler, I suppose we could call it. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful little game, And look, why not? Why not? We've had so many wonderful indie games, but if for no other reason than this is an Australian game by House. So give them some love, because if you think the games market and the game dev market in the US is tough, then I can tell you what, it's off the cards in Australia trying to survive in that industry. So they deserve a little bit of money and a little bit of love if you can afford it. But look, let's move across to the topic. That's what we're here for today. We're here to find out why Joe has made a bad life decision to leave the Xbox and come across to the PlayStation. But before we delve into that, Mindy, would you like to ask so we can find out about the origins of this name?
Yes, so new segment. If people are cool with giving away their PSN name or their gamer tag, I want to know the story behind it. I know what his name is, so I feel like I already know the story, but I could be wrong.
All right, so on Xbox and PlayStation, I am CoolKidJoe. It's my gamer tag, my PSN ID. So when I worked at GameStop when I was a teenager, and I worked with one of my buddies, and whenever we would do something like a task, like put something away or whatever, like taking a shipment, and be like, oh yeah, I did this or whatever, so it's all good. Whenever be like, oh, cool kid or whatever. And that, when I had to think of a gamer tag, I couldn't think of anything at all to do, so I kind of just slapped cool kid in front of my name.
Now, were you an early adopter? Because honestly, this is the kind of tag that I'm surprised was not already taken.
Yeah.
That sounds like an insult. I don't.
No. So where I lived in when I had an original Xbox, but I didn't have Xbox Live at the time because we lived in an apartment building where they were super against you adding internet and stuff like that, because when you do stuff like that back then, you gotta drill holes in walls and stuff like that, and when you don't own the house, the landlord is super against it or whatever. So it was just cable, and that was it. And that was before everything was everything comes through all in one. So it was kind of not phone line, but you got to get an internet plan from an internet provider, and it can't be from the cable company and stuff like that. So we didn't have internet for a while. So I bought a 360 the day it came out, and then I made it maybe sometime in 2006, I think. 360 came out in 2005, so kind of early, I guess. but I mean, there was already probably a pretty good number of like Xbox Live gamers and tags at the time.
It just surprises me. Like it's a very straightforward. It's not bad. It's just a very straightforward
Very
kind of. It's like when you try to register your name as your email address, and unless you have like a very very unique name, odds are someone's already got it. And it just seems to me like CoolKidJoe is one of those things that someone would have I would have expected like CoolKidJoe 92 or like you have to modify it to
Yeah.
get the core
Yeah.
of what you wanted.
Someone snagged it on Twitter, and I'm super upset about that.
Someone beat you on Twitter?
Someone beat me on Twitter and just like completely wasted it. Like they haven't like tweeted in a decade, and they used it to like tweet like 2 NBA players and like Kim Kardashian, and then never used it again.
Oh God.
And I want it. So yeah.
You see what I mean? You see why I'm surprised.
Yeah, no. So like that I'm a little bummed about. So like if I can't get the name or whatever, like on Twitter, I just add, if I can't get like the CoolKidJoe username, I just tag XBL at the end. Because I mean, like it's synonymous with my gamer tag. So I mean, I'm not going to just pick a random number.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, why don't we get into it? So what I want to ask you, obviously, because, we're from the PlayStation side or whatever else, there's a strong community through various websites promoting leaderboards and promoting people that, that are trying to get to level 100 or higher and stuff like that. You can see where you stand in countries. It's sort of, there's a lot of positive, push to move forward or whatever else. On the Xbox side, though, is it more like, reaching this million? Like it's a massive achievement. Is it more of like a community thing? Like, are there leaderboards? Are there this sort of thing? Or is it more just a personal, drive, you have yourself?
I mean, there's like True Achievements has leaderboards and stuff like that. And at one point, I believe I was 57th on the planet in Gamerscore. Like I made it that high.
Do you know what your country rank was?
I got it up to 14th, I believe.
Very competitive.
Yeah, but I kind of slowed down a lot, basically.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's an expensive hobby.
It really is. So why don't we look at that? I mean, to get to that number, that's a huge number of games over a substantial amount of time. Would you? Like, do you play everything, or do you have a preference to play these shorter, easier, trophy or achievement-based games?
I used to buy everything, and like I bought FIFA every year from like 2006 to like 2018, I think, and like I played like 2 of them. So like that was like one of the first games that like when I stopped buying games, I'm like, I'm not getting FIFA this year. I never play it. But like if something's like a couple hours or whatever, like I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. Yeah, I'm gonna buy that. Yeah, I'm gonna buy that. And I buy it, and then sometimes it sits on my hard drive, and sometimes I'll play it right away. It depends on like what it is or how tired I am from work. Sometimes I buy it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll play this tomorrow or whatever, and then like something else comes out and then I kind of forget it exists. If there's a like a AAA or like an indie game that like releases that I'm interested in, then I'll play that. Like I don't go out of my way to kind of like play crap anymore. I also won't play anything that's like crazy long or whatever that doesn't like really interest me anymore. I used to do that a lot.
So would you say, like, I can see your PSN profile here, but for Xbox, would you say you're more of a completionist gamer, or do you just tend to play up?
No.
Oh, that was a quick answer.
No,
I like it.
Yeah, no. If I don't like something, if I start something and I get like a couple achievements in it, and I'm like, this sucks, I will just stop.
So you don't suffer the OCD then that perhaps Mindi and others suffer from, whether you need to get to a certain point or a percentage or even finish it. That doesn't worry you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Mindi?
I envy you.
It keeps me sane.
You know what? I'm not completely without redemption here, because there are some games that I know I'm never gonna platinum that are already on my card. I know someone who has 100% profile, and I don't think he's like me, where he if he wants to play something but he knows he doesn't want to go for the platinum, he does it on an alt like I do. I think he just doesn't play it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And to be fair, his account is not all, easy peasies. But I am happy with the balance I have struck, and to each their own, man.
I actually have a friend or whatever. I don't know if he's still doing it. Who had he hit a million gamer score with
That's
100%
crazy, isn't it?
completion.
That's insane.
Yeah. Right now it's at 99.9. He's missing one achievement in something.
Okay. Now, why don't we pick up on this Microsoft side? So we, as trophy hunters, we know that Sony has, well, and we're told from the very top level trophy hunters that Sony has very little involvement with most of them, or if any at all. What about on the Xbox side? Now, I don't know, because you can exchange points for various things. I imagine you participated in some of this stuff on your path to 1 million points, these quests, all these sort of things. Is there any sort of bonus you get for having that much, or is there any incentive, or is it much the same?
I mean, like when I had 400,000 points and the Xbox One was getting ready to come out, they sent me one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I bought one or whatever, and there was a thing going around where it was basically if you had a high gamer score and you bought a lot of games and stuff like that, digitally, and you had a lot of games on your card and stuff like that, they would send you one, and they there were different tiers to that or whatever. I don't know if it was by money spent or whatever, but it was you get one, and then there'd be one with a couple games, and then there'd be one with just the whole shebang or whatever, with all the games and a subscription to what was it, Groove at the time, Groove Music or something like that. Came with a year subscription of that, and then a whole bunch of stuff. I think I got the mid-tier one, and then I got an X too.
I hear this often, that Microsoft does have far bigger interest in their player base in this manner. So that's interesting to hear you say that. So now, what I want to, because I do want to move across to the PlayStation side and why you changed over. But now that you're obviously this was a big number for you by the sound of it, and you're sort of focused on these numbers by the sound of it on PlayStation 2. Have you? And you've mentioned that your gaming has slowed down. Now, have you had enough of the Xbox? Is that why you're on PlayStation, or are you just taking a break?
So I have a Pro and I have an X, and if there's a AAA game or whatever that I want to play, or if there's a game that I want to play, it's a bigger game, I usually buy it for the Xbox One X, or for the Xbox One, I guess. And the only games I've been really buying on the PlayStation are exclusives and easy trophy games.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this, because this is the position that I'm in. So, I enjoy the trophies or whatever else, but I also enjoy the power of the X. So I run into I do a similar thing to you, but I run into issues with a game such as Control. I don't know if you played this Remedy game this year. So it runs much better on the Xbox than the PlayStation 4. It runs fine on the Pro, but admittedly not as good. Another good example was Devil May Cry 5 runs much better on the X. So not every game does, but some clearly do. But I find myself, and I suppose this is the addiction to the trophies, I find myself still being pulled to play it on the PlayStation, even though I know the experience might be better on the Xbox. So is that are you maintaining those sort of games just for the Xbox, or are you drawn in Control is not a difficult platinum, Devil May Cry is a very difficult platinum. Are you drawn into some of them, doing them twice, I suppose is what I'm saying? Would you do these games on the Xbox and then the PlayStation, or are you just hitting them once on whichever system?
So if it's a longer game or whatever that I but it's gonna take me some time, I'm only gonna play it on the Xbox. If I can name something off the top of my head, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, just because I'm looking at it, because it's the case is on top or right next to my X, because I kind of played it a while back and I just never put it back on the shelf. That's a pretty lengthy game, I would say. It's not crazy long, but I mean you got to put work into it to play it. I would only play that once, but if it's quick or whatever, if it's in the 10-ish hour range or whatever, and it's a game I I'll play it on the X or on the Xbox, and then if I like it enough, I'll play it for the PlayStation 4 as well. A pretty good example is Hellblade, which Hellblade 2 just got announced too, but I bought that on the Xbox One, digitally when it came out, and then when they released it on disc, I bought it on disc as well because I really like that game, just to add it to my collection. I played it on Windows 10 because it has a Windows 10 achievement list. I also bought it on PS4 because I like the game so much, and I for the Christmas sale or whatever sale, because there's so many sales on the PlayStation, I bought it off the UK store as well because it has a UK stack because I really like that game.
So it sounds like you're on PS4 for just like an easy peasy stack, but it still sounds very much like you are a achievement hunter and not a trophy hunter.
I mean, so my achievement thing now, like what I'm doing, like I have a 2000, I had a 2000 day achievement streak yesterday. Like the last time I didn't unlock an achievement was in like 2014 or something like that.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so like I'm going and going and going or whatever, but like now I'm on this one a day kick where I get like one, maybe two a day in like a really easy game, and then like I finish my day on the PlayStation or whatever, and I kind of grind out like easy crap on there unless it's like something that I want to play. Like I'm probably going to play Sinking City soon, which I bought for the Xbox.
Now we're gonna have to go into this because some listeners, suffer from this OCD bug. So this concept of having to earn one achievement every day, and now you have to keep it going because you've got so many. I'm sure you must feel that. So do you now plan out to make sure you have one a day ready in advance, or how do you deal with this pressure you've put on yourself to continue this?
It's not really pressure. I mean, like, and it's not really planning because there's like so much. Like, I mean, like a game that's like an hour or whatever. Like I dragged Fractured Minds out over like 9 days,
Okay.
so it's like that.
I
Like
see.
that game takes like 15 minutes or whatever. But like I'm still working on it, or I'm doing like one a day in that. Like I got one this morning when I woke up. Usually I don't do it in the morning, but like I don't know. Like I woke up and I was awake this morning before I had to go to work, and like I just like I could do this in like 30 seconds, so I did that
Yeah.
or whatever. But usually it's like right when I get home from work, the first thing I do, I turn on the Xbox One. Well, actually, I don't turn it on. I turn on the TV. The Xbox One is always on. Like it's been on since like the day I got it. I go on, I pick an easy game, and I'm like, oh, okay, like what's easy? And then like I scroll through like my games installed list, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get this in like 2 minutes. So then like I play it for like 2-3 minutes or whatever. I get my achievement done out of the way. Like I dragged Foxy Land out over like a week.
That might be a record for the longest platinum time for a Rad Leica game.
Yeah,
See, when you first told us before we started recording today that you're on this streak, in my mind I was like, well, that's kind of alarming. But now I see it from the other side, and I suppose because you're drawing like a rat game out over a week, it shows great self-control. You have the ability to pull out after you've shot once, which is fantastic. Like I don't know, Mindy, if you could do that. I just need to finish, the game. I don't know. It's interesting. You would surely feel that, Mindy, being a completionist.
You're aiming for Push Plat After Dark with that, aren't you?
I don't know. I don't know what you mean. So, look, that's interesting. Now, can I ask then? It's very expensive to maintain a library on one system. It must be a killer now across both ecosystems.
it's not that. I mean, like I'm obviously catching up on like PlayStation games and stuff like that, but that I didn't buy. But
Hmm.
what's it called? I mean, like a lot of these easy games or whatever, they're like $5. So it's not that bad. Yeah, like Foxyland is $5. Fractured Mind was $2.
But you're still and forgive me. I mean, I don't know what you do, but that's still double dipping.
Eh,
That's even though it's $5, that's $10 across both systems. With Rad Leica, you're looking at $40 a month on one system. Like it adds up.
yeah.
Mm. It does, but I mean, we talked around it at the start, but we haven't really talked about it. But we might as well because it's an interesting advantage achievement hunters have. This Game Pass. I mean, in effect, you could just mine that, couldn't you, for games and achievements for weeks, months, even on it.
I mean, probably forever. I mean, like they add stuff to it like every week or two. Like the other day, I think it was yesterday or something. They added like 18 games to it.
That's see, Mindy. We don't have I know we've got this PS Now, and I know you were looking into this at one point, but even though it's got a ton of games, it's still not quite as set up as well, is it, for this purpose, I suppose, of trophy hunting?
No, it's really not. And there is a part of me that thinks that and this is a conversation for another day, but broad strokes here. part of me thinks Sony is going to roll out this kind of idea with the PlayStation 5, because I think, especially because people know about the Game Pass, that Microsoft keeps stepping it up with the Game Pass, from my understanding of it. And the fact that PS Now has been such a disappointment, because it was supposed to be like the way PS Now is now, that's how it was sold to us back when the PS4 launched. That's how it was supposed to be around launch. Um, so I don't know if they're dragging their heels or if plans changed or what, but they need I think they need to do something similar to the Game Pass, certainly on the PS4, but definitely on the PS5, if they want to keep the base they have now. The people who did swap from Xbox, because Xbox One early days, I think they definitely stepped up, but I think PS4 won for several years. I don't think many people would argue against that. But then Microsoft kept kind of building up and up and up, while Sony kind of, rested on its laurels, I suppose. And now, Microsoft is poised, I think, to pass them again. And so Sony really needs to step up like that.
I think like so I'm gonna go out on a hunch here or whatever. I'm gonna say like when both those new consoles come out, they're gonna be $500. Is that like a fair price point to at least discuss?
I think that would be great, because wasn't PS4 was like 400 or 450,
Yeah,
right? So that's not.
4 and 500.
My worry is that it'll be over 500.
Yeah, so I mean, like, just for discussion, I think 500 is a fair price to say. Yes,
Yeah.
for both, just for like the discussion. So on day one or whatever, I'm gonna buy a $500 PS5, and I'm gonna buy a $500 Xbox Series X. It's called. So for $15 or whatever with my Game Pass Ultimate subscription, I'm gonna have Halo day one. So that's $515. And then whatever Sony has, if they don't like up their game, I'm gonna be looking at $560 for a game. And I mean, like, Halo's a big deal. I mean, I don't know what the whole like first party launch plan is for PlayStation yet, obviously, because they might be showing something now on like the Game Awards or whatever. I don't know. I've been kind of loosely paying attention to it. I feel like, like getting that Game Pass locked at that price or whatever, because I mean, like, $500 is a lot for people, and like a lot of people don't commit right away, because it's like you gotta buy the game, and you gotta buy the console, and then you gotta buy like 1 to 2 games or whatever. And then you get people like me who buy like 8 games at launch or whatever, and then like you got to decide if you want one or the other, and then like budgets always come into play and stuff like that. And if I could play Halo like day one for that like $15 or like $1 if I'm like upgrading to the or like moving from the PlayStation ecosystem to the Xbox ecosystem, like that's not bad.
But see, this is what I wonder, because I think the Game Pass, like, it's a fantastic deal. And no one's going to argue that. And for someone like me, it's a really great deal because, I buy, anything and everything on the PlayStation. I'll give it a go. But I don't want to have to do that on Xbox as well. And now that I can pay the $15 a month and have access to so much stuff, that works out perfect for me. And going into the next generation, that's exactly what I'm going to continue to do. But what I wonder is, now I know, I'm not unique. There are many people like you're the same that do buy a lot of games. Having that pass, while it's really good and it's a subscription and it's continually taking money, I understand that. It's also, a discouragement for people like us potentially to be buying any of the games on their system and instead maybe buying it on their competitors' systems or other games. It frees up money. So this is why I wonder, are they going to jam the price up later on? What are they going to do? To incentivize you to own it? Or is it just going to be the total Netflix effect where you just subscribe for life? And because it's a larger pool that can afford that amount, that's going to be where the money comes from in the future. Like, what do you think about that?
So, like, I believe the whole plan that they're going with, they have 10 million Game Pass subscribers now, last time I checked. I'm not 100% sure on, like, the exact number, but last time I read, it was that much, like 10 million. So I mean, that's 150 million a month or between 100 and 150 million a month that they're taking in just from Game Pass subs. And then they got to dish out some money to third-party studios. So when they did all those studio acquisitions, the whole point of those studio acquisitions is to kind of just keep pumping games into the service. Not necessarily like all AAA games, but like Double Fine is a great example, because they do like unique, like smaller, like kind of like indie titles and stuff like that or whatever, that are like usually like $15 to $20. And then like they're trying to get the system going, and that's why they're super aggressive with like what they're putting in it now. Like Devil May Cry 5 is in it, and that game's only like what, 8 months old now.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's in there. Just Cause 4 was in there pretty soon. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is that the new one? Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the new one. That was in there pretty quickly. And like they're being super aggressive with the third party titles now until like all those studios get pumping, because a lot of those studios now are getting multiple teams. Like the Hellblade team has 3 teams working on Hellblade, or the Ninja Theory, I'm sorry. One team's working on that. There's another one working on that survival game where you're like the size of ants that they announced at the Inside Xbox. And then there's another team working on something else. And like the Coalition that does Gears of War, they have a second team working on another game now. And then like 343 is working on, like, their priority is Halo, but they might split up into 2 different teams like later down the road. And then like Playground has the Horizon team, and then they have the RPG team or whatever that's supposedly working on the new Fable, and they're building up a third team now. So like they're taking all these studios and they're splitting them up into multiple teams or whatever, so they're gonna like keep that content just flowing and flowing and flowing.
No, I totally agree with you there. I think the problem is from the PlayStation side to convert people over. It's not a question of whether the hardware is better or not, or what it will be. They're going to be so similar anyway. It's not going to matter in the long run in the next generation, I think. But the issue is that Xbox and Microsoft, they're still a little unproven in producing quality games. Now, I know there are some that are great, but Sony does have a track record or whatever with these exclusives. So I think Xbox is moving in. I'm not arguing they're not moving in the right direction. I think it's fantastic. And I think Sony is going to be in a lot of trouble because they're not responding. And, just to bring up, you said, they have 10 million, Game Pass holders or whatever. I mean, that money is, and Microsoft has more money than anyone, but that money is, nothing to Sony that has sold 100 million PS4s. And admittedly, some people own 4 or 5 of them, but most people have PS Plus. I mean, the amount of money they're drawing in per month is astronomical.
Yeah.
in relation. So there's huge amounts of money in play, I understand, with this sort of thing. But, it's this push to the digital, and we're getting off topic here or whatever, but the digital age, all this sort of stuff. But it is going to incentivize you not to buy games anymore, don't you think? And just use these subscription passes.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's an option and people like options. I mean, I buy the games, and then, like, because I collect, like, Outer Worlds is in Game Pass. And have you played that?
I have, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Outer Worlds on disc or whatever, even though I have a Game Pass subscription, because I want to. Well, number one, I'm lazy and I don't want to get up sometimes when I want to play games. So like that's the reason why. That's the reason why I subscribe to it. It's like an extra $5 a month or whatever from like the monthly gold subscription, and I don't have to get up to change the disc because sometimes I'm lazy. But like I also support physical media. Like some people might think that's like a little crazy or whatever because I do both, but a thing that like I'm very big on is like if I like your product, I'll make sure you get my money. And I like Obsidian, and I mean like I played Outer Worlds on Game Pass, but I also pre-ordered it and I bought it. So like God of War is a really good example too. I didn't play God of War until like after I hit my million gamer score. I bought that game which was February something this year. I don't remember the exact date. It's on my Twitter. But like I didn't play God of War until this year, but I bought it day one because I know that's a good game, and I want to make sure that Sony Santa Monica that makes that. I want to make sure that they get my money. Like I'm very like ethical when it comes to stuff like that. Like it's like if you do something good, like I want to make sure that you get my money, and like I won't wait for a sale if it's something I'm very interested in, which it's God of War. I like the first one. I like the second one. Never played the third one, but I made sure that like they got my money like day one.
Are Are you insinuating that used games are unethical?
I prefer not to buy used games unless it's the only way that I can get it.
That's fair. I was wondering.
Like, I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm very iffy on like the used game market. Like, I'm not. I bought some this week, like during the Black Friday sale from GameStop or whatever, because they had like buy one get one on PlayStation 3 and 360 games, and then buy two get one free on like PS4 and Xbox One games or whatever. I'm not gonna find new copies of like Back to the Future and Guardians of the Galaxy for Telltale. So like, if that's the only way, like without like paying more than like retail value or close to it. So like, I mean, I don't feel bad buying like a Telltale game used or whatever, because it's like I bought your game on the 360. Like, I bought all your games day one on the 360, and I bought them day one on Xbox One, and I bought them day one on PC too. You can live without my money or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna find like a new copy of Back to the Future. Like, I haven't seen one in years. So, and I'm not gonna find new copies of PS3 Telltale games like without like searching for like a third party seller.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I think it's a very fine line because your position in life dictates the ability for you to take this position, and you know, we have to acknowledge that, you know, while I may be similar to you by the sound of it, there are people that, you know, are in different positions. So everything is okay in the grand scheme of things. I think we had a guest very similarly on Tricky Mick from Proven Gamer a couple of weeks ago who advocated exactly the same position you did, that it's important to buy early if you want to support the studios, just, you know, so they carry on and can continue. So, you know, and that position, I think if you're in that position to do it, I think you definitely need to do it, or you possibly should do it. But, you know, listeners, there are many different positions obviously on this subject. So like we totally understand that. What I'd like to go over to, because this is a bit of a unique PlayStation phenomena, I know you have a little bit of this on Xbox, but not really, is the regional stacks of games and the regional stores. So how do you? I can see you're starting to get into this now. You're moving between. I even see some Asian stacks there. So you're moving around the world. How do you find this? Like, this is different from Xbox, isn't it? To have regional stores with stacks.
I mean, there's some or whatever. There's not nearly as many. Ratalaika only puts out one version of a game on the Xbox, and like every once in a while you get one or whatever. A lot of the times, like Windows 10, like when there's a game on Game Pass on PC or whatever, and it's on Game Pass on Xbox, sometimes it'll get a PC list. Like the Outer Worlds you can double dip into, which is awesome or whatever. But like there's some games that don't or whatever, and they share saves and stuff like that. Outer Worlds doesn't. It's a lot easier to do on the PlayStation than it is on the Xbox or whatever to buy a digital game, because it's like on the PlayStation I have my main account, I have my UK account, I have my Japan account, I have my Hong Kong account. So like, and when I sign into my Hong Kong account, it goes right to the Hong Kong store. It's super easy. But like if I want to buy a Japanese stack or region exclusive of a game that's in Japan, I gotta go into settings on the Xbox, and I have to change my console's region to Japan, and and then I have to restart the console in order to do it. And then like I'm very protective of my primary account, so, which I think is understandable. So when I buy a game from the Japanese store or whatever, I can buy it from my main account if I want to, but I don't do it. I have a Japan account, and I have a German account, and I have a UK account, and I have an Australian account or whatever that I buy games and I buy DLC on, because I'm very cautious with my main account.
Yeah, that'd be nothing new to many of our listeners that partake in all this sort of stuff. But it does. I mean, this allows, and this is, I suppose, this is where I'm getting. But Mindi, please jump in if you have any questions along this line. Is that because, you know, we're getting so many regional stacks of games, that there's this foreboding argument that, you know, there are too many. These trophies, there's just too many of these easy games, and it's not like you only do it once or twice now. You can do it like 8 times. Or whatever else. Now, that is uniquely a PlayStation thing. What do you think about that? People padding their trophies or their score by doing the same game 8+ times.
I mean, like the Ratalaika games or whatever. I mean, like it's like that on both consoles, but in like different ways or whatever. So it's like like they both have their pros and cons or whatever of like certain things that you could do. Like your Ratalaika games, you could play them all 6 times or whatever, which I mean, like is totally padding your score or whatever. Like, because
Mm.
what's an average PlayStation game like 1200 XP? Would you say
Yes. Yeah.
if we're
Yeah.
around about 12? So I mean, you're getting 8400 or yeah 8400 XP or 7200 XP for Ratalaika game, give or take, like a few points here or there, which is like a lot. But then like on the
Mm.
Xbox ecosystem or whatever, we have those Neo Geo games or whatever, and yours are only gold trophies, which are worth 300-ish, 285, 315-ish. On the Xbox, they're 1,000. And then they release them all on Windows 10 too. So that's 2,000 that you could get for each Neo Geo game.
And that's what Xbox is like when people in the achievement hunting community, that's what they call stacking, right?
Yeah.
And it's I think Maka said this, like what we as trophy hunters would call stacking. You don't have a ton of like there are a couple of regional ones for violence. Like I think what did he say? Like Resident Evil had one, something like that. Wolfenstein.
Oh, so Resident Evil 7 has one, I think. Yeah, Resident Evil 7 has one for like violence or whatever. I think they rate it like Cero B or Cero C or whatever, and then to get the Cero R, was it Cero R? Cero Z rating or whatever, it's like a downloadable patch. Evil Within 2 and Evil Within are like that as well, or Psycho Break in Japan it's called. That's like that. I don't know if you've played Soldier of Fortune for the PS3.
No, I don't know this one.
Oh, I think it's on the PlayStation 3. So, Soldier of Fortune is like one of those like those B tier like third or first person shooters. I don't remember if it was first or third. It's been a long time since I played that. So, when you're going through the campaign, if you like shoot someone in like the elbow, it'll dismember their arm. But like Australia is like no or whatever. So, they took out like all the dismemberment achievements in that game because you can't do that. And then there's the thing with like Saints Row 4 and Australia or whatever, how you can't in Saints Row 4 and the dildo bat,
Yes,
the
that's
pet
right.
breeder. You
Yes.
guys don't have that.
No, that's right. Yeah.
There was a while in Germany where you couldn't depict the swastika in like a media persistence because it was like a law or whatever. So like every
Those laws are we talked about that on the I Have No Mouth deep dive. I think those laws are still around
I think they're a little bit looser now.
because they used to be really severe. It used to be like
Yeah, they would wash it out and just
yeah,
release the
most
whole game.
media you can do it, and I think they've relaxed the kind of media that can display it. But those laws are, I believe, they're still in place, just
Yeah,
not as
strict.
strict.
Yeah. And then I mean, yeah, usually when there's like a stack or whatever, there's like a reason for it.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're full of. I reckon we could go on forever. This, listeners, in full disclosure, this is the first time I've spoken to CoolKidJoe. I knew I was going to enjoy it because I knew it would be like a stream of consciousness sort of chat, eclectic sort of mix of stuff. But it's been really interesting. So what I'm going to ask you now, as we sort of come full circle on this topic, is what's your goal for PlayStation then? What's your trophy aim or goal, or do you even have one?
The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now is like a long time ago, like one of my buddies told me that like I would never pass him. And like his brother's just like, he's like, Joe could do it if he wants to. It's not hard or whatever. Like if he gets motivated to do something, like he'll do it. And he'll be like, oh yeah, he'll never pass. He's a level 40, by the way, which I'm kind of creeping up a little bit. And he's been there for a while, and I don't think he knows that I'm like kind of creeping up.
I like that. Never discount the vindictiveness of a person to achieve something.
Yeah. And I don't know if this has actually been done or not, but like, because I mean, like, I don't have any stats or anything like that, but like, I want to get like level 100 and I want to have the million gamer score. And I would like to be the first person to do it if it hasn't been done yet.
Well, how long do you think it would take me to get a million gamer score if I started this afternoon? Could I beat you?
Probably. With how much stuff is out now, yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, but like, yeah.
I don't think so. That's interesting. And Mindi, what were you thinking?
Yeah, so Joe, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, do you call yourself an achievement hunter or a trophy hunter?
I mean, right now I'm doing a little bit of both, but I mean, like, I've like invested like too much into like the Xbox brand to like completely deter away from it like forever. I mean, like, there's a lot of like I've sunk in a lot of money and like a lot of like blood, sweat, tears. Not tears, but like I don't cry when I game, but you know what I like the saying, just energy and stuff like that. And it's like I'm taking like a little bit of a sabbatical, I guess, to say right now.
And I mean, it's something we talked about this a bit with Ulcero, and I think we need to find someone who's like really done, because Ulcero's still kind of games. You know, we need to find someone who really has just stopped, because at this point, especially when you're this kind of high level, you've got that kind of, I don't know what you would call it, like that sweat equity, or like it's one thing to cut your losses because you paid for the gear, but then you factor in your investment of time and energy. And, you know, you have to wonder, these high level trophy hunters, you know, how much of them still go because of that. Because if they stop, they've got this kind of realization of, I have poured so much time into this thing and I physically have nothing to show for it.
Can I actually touch on that too?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, another thing, the thing I like about the achievement system like better is like once I had 1 million, I got to keep going or whatever. Like there's a couple people with 2 million actually, which is just crazy. The other thing I don't like the level 100 cap.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're going to have to get used to that, because I don't think they're going to change it.
I'm just not a fan of it or whatever, because it's like I would like to see that like that level go up or whatever, because like you're sitting at 100.1 or whatever, right? Technically 100.1.
Something. Well, I think it stops at 100.
Yeah, but I think once you hit like that next level, it goes up to 1% or whatever. Not 100%.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, like, I know you're much higher than that.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe it's a good thing that it stops at 100. I don't know, in a way. But no, I know what you're saying. And of course, we had I can't remember who, but we were talking, or perhaps talking with the infamous Ike, the man who plays everything, and he was, you know, commenting to me that the great thing is that the numbers, the trophy numbers, will actually stop at 9,000 or 99999 or something as well. They can't possibly get to 100,000 because of what they've seen from various hackers that have pushed the numbers to the max. So, you know, for us mere mortals, that doesn't really matter. But for him, that will probably be a concern, the rate that he acquires bronze trophies, I imagine. But, you know, look, many things to...
Has the Coom not hit that yet?
Well, no, it's like
or like
100,000 trophies.
Some of those other top people?
No, they're not there yet. So this is sort of like 100,000 bronze or 100,000 silver or gold. It will cap there. So that's
it's not like a total?
No, not a total. No. So yeah,
okay.
Everyone else but Ike is fairly safe.
When I did my 1 million too, I also did it with like a custom Design Labs controller as well. Like I made like I ordered a Xbox Design Labs controller like just for my 1 million gamer score achievement.
That's fantastic. Yeah, with a plaque as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a question, because CJ, you mentioned hackers. Has the achievement system been hacked the way the trophy system has, at least on the PS3?
On the 360, it was, because like what you used to be able to do is you used to be able to like put your profile on like a USB stick and then like bring it over to your PC and stuff like that, and like sync it up to like this program. No, it was like this Daytel like save thing or whatever that they like sold in stores. Like you just put it on like a random USB drive and just like unlock achievements on it. And that was on the 360. And like with the Xbox One, there is I've seen it done with like a couple times or whatever, but like it's very, very, very rare, because a lot of the times, like with the achievements now, if you're offline, they won't pop at all. If you're not connected to the internet, they won't pop. And like when you connect back up to the internet or whatever, like if you like, they'll pop after, like when you connect back up to the internet. They won't unlock offline. Everything will go in or whatever, like you can like save everything or whatever. It'll like keep it stored like in the system's like memory or in the cloud or whatever it's doing, and then right when you pop online or whatever, it'll like kind of like sync up and everything will unlock. My buddy Chad or whatever, who's like the one person I talk to every day, he's really cool. He does he grinds out like NBA cards or whatever. He also has 1 million gamer score, and he also quit when he hit 1 million as well. He grinds out like the NBA like my player cards or whatever they are. I don't know what they are. Diamond Dynasty No, it's Diamond Dynasty in the show. There's an achievement for like getting all the cards that doesn't work, or you can't get it until like they release more cards, and like every once in a while someone will get the achievement or whatever, but it's not legit, and we don't really know how they get it.
That's interesting. Oh, while you were talking, I thought of one other thing. It's interesting that you brought up, you don't like the level 100 cap on PlayStation. One of the, and maybe because the games you're playing at the moment, this has not come up for you, but I know it's one of the for our listeners and for myself, it's one of the greatest things for Xbox, and amongst many, many great things is the trophy or the achievement progression statistics. So, you say it requires to do 100 of something in the system's menus on Xbox, you can see how many you've done. It tracks it. Whereas we don't have any tracking like that on PlayStation.
You guys are getting that soon.
Well, is that confirmed?
I saw an announcement for it a while ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this because that is one of the biggest benefit, or for a trophy hunting, that would be a huge benefit.
It is a cool feature. Not all developers utilize it though. You have to like program it into the game. Like a lot of the bigger games like do it, like Forza and Gears and stuff like that. Like they do it, and then like a bigger AAA title will do it. But like a lot of the indie games and like the Rattle-like games, like they don't do it. Yeah, no, like not every game does it. It's just like if the developer chooses to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a benefit for a bigger game. I'm thinking about recently the grid racing game that has a crazy trophy or achievement for driving the circumference of the world, and at least you could see a percentage number. You have no idea on the PlayStation, so which is it's unfortunate, but look, that is what it is. So listeners, we've touched all variations of the Xbox, and I think you'll agree with me that I would love to get CoolKidJoe back again at some point next year, so we can delve more into this because he plays on multiple systems, I play on multiple systems, and we're all gamers, and it's interesting to hear other perspectives. But Joe, I wonder if you could join me now and Mindi. We have this segment, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I think you'll approve, of the spam games, where we just speculate on what we think might be short and spammy, if you like, for the coming week. So we're just pulling some names out here with I remember the Plat shoutouts, Mindi, I have not forgotten. So we're just pulling some names.
Why do you, sorry, edit that out. Why do you reply to it in the podcast? Because more often than not, you leave it in. It sounds ridiculous. It comes up right
in front of me. So
I know, but you don't have to respond. Like,
and it annoys you.
I'm trying to do shop talk.
It annoys you, so I like doing it. So, spam games. Who would like to start us off? Has anyone seen anything that could be potentially spammy?
Well, again, I'll throw out that now that the lists are syncing, True Fear Part 2 is high-class spam with a guide and a double stack. And then there's also the Pantsu Hunter got a Asian Vita release.
Yes, so that's been out for quite a while. It's just the list hasn't been out, which is an issue if you're doing the Vita trick, because obviously you can't sync it to your main account if there's no list. So now you'll finally be able to do that. That was a cross-buy though, so if you bought the PS4, you will have that. You may not have realized because there was no list until now.
Those are cross-buy?
The Pantsu, now this isn't a weird thing on the Asian store. The Pantsu Hunter is not a cross-buy, I think, is it, Mindi, on the EU and the NA, but I think for this game it was a cross-buy on the Asian store. So
that's weird.
It is strange. Seems to be the case with some of the Asian releases, but I don't know. I have no idea why. Look, I'm going to throw out one. It's not spam, but it's interesting, and it doesn't fit anywhere else, so I'm going to put it here, is that Control, Mindi, got a Japanese stack, which is strange.
Yeah, I saw that.
Very
strange.
Strange. But exciting, because I believe it plays in English. I'm gonna try and verify that first, but I believe it does. In which case, I will do it again because that game was fantastic.
What are these two games? Because Rattle-like is not releasing anything this month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yet
I think they're on rest.
In like the same day. Well, for sure. But we got two lists that very much not only have the hallmarks of spam, but have the hallmarks of specifically a Rattle-like trophy list in Gunlord X and Hero Hero. Like lots of silver and gold trophies and multiple stacks, and yet neither of these are Rattle-like games.
No, it's very interesting. This Gunlord X, it is on the store now. This other one, the Hero Hero, that's a great name. I don't believe is out yet. So it doesn't look, just from the percentages though, that the Gunlord is that easy. I'm not sure, but Mindi, I believe
that's why I said it has the hallmarks of.
Yeah, I believe that, friend of the show, Mr. Cornshack, recently reviewed the game and has a video on it. So maybe we can find out more in the coming weeks about Gunlord X.
For sure.
We'll have to see.
Looking at Eero Hero, I would say spam. Just looking at this trophy list, yeah, I would say Eero Hero would be the spam game, not Gunlord X for sure.
No, would we throw Word Maze by Pogi in there?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely, we would.
I love those Pogi games.
It's good to see they're back because it's been a while, a month or two since the last one, I feel.
CJ, Blair Witch finally came out on PS4. Is it spam?
I felt we talked about this recently or somewhere. Have you played this, Joe? It's been on Xbox for a while now on Game Pass.
Yeah, it was on. Yeah, I haven't played it. It's apparently like an 8-ish hour game, I think.
Yeah, so with a guide, I think you could do it in 8. It is 2 playthroughs, but if you did everything in the first playthrough, or everything you can except for the alternate endings, the second playthrough would be very, very quick. It's a stealth/puzzler game, so there are some puzzles in there. So that's why if you had a guide, it would speed the experience up. The puzzles are based around time, through your camera manipulating time a little bit, mainly. So it's different. It's good, but there are a few collectibles as well through it. So it's
there's a trophy for getting a dog.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's a sort of spam with a guide and maybe slightly longer spam. I think if you hadn't played it before, I think it's probably could be as long as sort of 12 to 15 hours, just depending on how quickly you pick up the mechanics, because the enemy stuff is a little weird as well the first time. But look, still worth playing, I think. Yeah. It is quite good. And look, I'm going to throw out just
potential. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, potential spam for sure. And then I'm going to throw out this one, maybe because you haven't come across it yet. This Rift Keeper. So I only came across this the other day. This is it's a rogue-like, so it's not really spam because if you die, you have to restart. But I saw that Mr. Bad Driver has created a video where you can actually upload your saves as you go and then re-download them if you die, so everything can be done in one run. So it sounds like a lot of work, but if you're prepared to do that work, that will become a spam plat of a couple of hours.
Well, that's what I'm going to have to do with Little Nightmares. That one is a timed no death. No death, under an hour playthrough trophy.
So listeners, that brings us to our penultimate Push2Plat Platinum Club shoutouts for 2019. If you've been listening to this segment and you think now is the time to get a little credit for your hard work, then please jump in this week so that we can get you in before the end of the year. Now, for those that are in already, it's been another big week. First off, we start with Dino Roar number 790, the Aladdin Lion King collection for PS4. Eigenspace is back with number 85, Spyro 2, and number 86, Spyro 3, and the trilogy now complete. Congratulations. Boston George is back. Number 151. Star Ocean, The First Departure. The journey continues. Onwards, Scottish Nub, number 323, Foxyland Asia, continuing his deep-seated fascination with the Radar catalogue. The Real Apex is back, bringing back a little class to this establishment with number 39, Resident Evil 2, the remake. And he goes on to say, it was an amazing journey for me, quite challenging with the HC stuff. I finally got the plat on one of my favourite childhood games, a classic fun game, RE3 coming soon. Congratulations, sir. We move on to Easty. Look, he's been busy again. Number 601, Bayala. Awesome game. Thanks for the recommendation, Mindi. Number 610, B-Sim. Thanks, Zador, for the tips earlier. Game wasn't too bad. Well, that's a ringing endorsement if ever I did hear one, Sir Easty. Final shout out for today, Redbeard Rick, number 106, Holy Potatoes, a weapon shop. Now, I know nothing about this game, but that has a fantastic name. So as I said, now's the time to move, listeners. If you'd like to get a little credit before the end of the year, the Push2Plat Platinum Club is on the PS4 under Communities. It's free to join. Leave a plat pick, and if you want to leave a little bit about the game as well, it just helps us all to discover something new perhaps, or even reconnect with something that we've played and the memories we had of it at the time. So listeners, we've made it to the end of another episode, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank CoolKidJoe for joining us today. It was great to show a little bit of Xbox love on this PlayStation podcast. Joe, if we're looking for you, where could we find you?
I'm CoolKidJoe on Xbox and on PlayStation, and on Twitter I am at CoolKidJoeXBL.
And Mindi, where can we find you?
Twitter at themindisacity.com. I also have a Kofi page, ko-fi.com/themindisacity.
So with all that being said, listeners, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you are celebrating. Have a wonderful time. Be well, be safe, be with family, be with friends, be with loved ones. Game on, game hard, have fun. CJ signing out.
Bye!